Love it. Look at that clearance. Gotta love it. In this video, we're going to be correcting the issue on the Defender Limited with my 32-inch tires rubbing against the inner fender well. If I can give you, I'll show you where it's rubbing. Wow, great view. So it is rubbing right here on the fender well. Maybe I could leave that the way it is and it would not be an issue. Well, you can actually see this one's actually a burn. Maybe I could leave that just the way it is, but I can't. It's just not right. So I purchased some online SuperATV front A-arms that move the wheel hub 2 inches forward. That should be more than enough room to clear these tires. So I'm going to replace these A-arms. Okay, so let's see if we can get a slow motion shot. So this was a win. I picked up this magnetic tray from Home Depot. Thought it'd be good for this project. I think nothing like working on a new vehicle. Okay, this is 15 millimeter, which isn't going to work this close. So I'm going to break through these caliper bolts, break them loose with a 15 millimeter half-inch drive. Oh man. Socket. This was my last Craftsman tool I believe I bought, was a half-inch drive ratchet. Now I've been buying everything Husky. Down a tray. That was long overdue. Yeah, man, I thought I was doing a careful job and I mangled this thing. Maybe I'll straighten that out in a vise. Okay, I had to go out and buy a 30 millimeter socket set from Husky. I think it was $29, or I'm sorry, Home Depot Husky brand, to get the socket off. I just didn't have the right size, or the axle nut off. Let's notice how the threads, it's just on the outside is just starting to touch the first thread. This one's on so tight, I actually thought it was a reverse thread. That's how tight this axle nut was on it. And it was not. Put it in the old parts tray. Maybe I'll arrange these parts in the parts tray in the order I took things off. Help me on reassembly. I don't know, does that seem kind of smart? Next is the removal. This clamp holds the brake line and I need to get it off the upper A-arm. Next is 15mm wrench and socket to remove the lower ball joint bolt. I'm not looking forward to doing this because, wow, because it's so easy. Okay, on SuperATV, the guy had to use, the instructor had to use a little force to pry that out. I got this tie rod fork from my brother, Pat, in order to remove it. And that just slipped out. My God, that's so unlike Can-Am. Everything is fastened with Loctite or permanent Loctite, and it's just a bear to get out. And that was very easy to remove. So now I have to pull the axle out, the axle housing out, axle out of the hub mount. So I'll pull it out. And you know what? I'm making a mistake. Before I take that out, I have to take the tie rod end off. Take the cotter pin out and pull this out.
Well, that was amazing.
I did a better job with that cotter pin. That came off easily. I have to free up this A-arm in order to get this axle out. So I'm going to take off the shock.
I'm going to take the shock off the upper A-arm. I'm going to try doing that. So the shock is off the upper A-arm.
And then I have to remove the sway bar bolt. Okay, now we'll see if we can raise this up high enough. Maybe to get this out, the axle out, and that seemed to work. Okay, so we got the axle out. This is not an how-to video because I'm not that good, but I figured I'm doing this. Maybe you guys want to see me struggle with it. I think it's somewhat simple mechanic skills. The only thing I'm worried about is the alignment and the alignment and taking the power, getting the power steering spacer on. I'm probably going to end up fumbling through that. The instructions weren't very good. So okay, so I got that cotter pin out. So what SuperATV says to do is put an extension drive up through here. Put your impact on it. Reverse. Cock this so it's at an angle. And remove it. And well, I didn't think there'd be a washer there, but what do I know? Not much. And then hopefully this will release. This does not look like a good scenario either way. Let's see if I can get up. Okay, so I'm on the head of that. I really don't want to take the face. Get to the nut of the upper A-arm bolt closest to the firewall. Which I give Can-Am credit, although this could be lost in space. You have to take this cover off in the firewall inside the cab to get at that nut, which is okay. Hopefully I won't lose it. So this wire is holding the end of the power steering, the boot on the power steering unit from the tie rod or the steering rod. So I have to cut this off. Which is not as easy as it looks. Well, that seemed to work very well. This is a flat spot on the tie rod, which you can put a 20mm wrench. I did back off this keeper nut, and I'm going to spin this off. I'm going to take this boot clamp off, which is now spun around. Try to take that off with a pair of Klein pliers.
So I got that off. Let's pull the boot off. Let's pull this wire off.
This is what they don't tell you on the video. And you know what? I think I gotta turn the wheel all the way to the right. Let's see if that helps. So this is the angle I had to be at to get leverage to loosen the inner ball and socket. And obviously I'm worried that it's reverse thread. I could not move this, but I could not do it at any other angle than this. And it was not fun. So all that work to get that off, which is so often the case, for this spacer ring to go on, so you're not bottoming out the steering, and then this goes back on. And part of it's my inexperience. I should have gotten, I was worried I was turning it might have been reverse threaded. So that's my inexperience, but you know, that's why sometimes we do these things to gain experience. So that spacer goes on. So I am not going to have the same turning radius I had when I started this, when I first got this machine stock. And I got to tighten that up. I'm getting my hands greasy. I'm going to turn the steering wheel back to the left to draw this in to put the boot back on. I don't want to fight it. The end of the boot goes here. The other end of the boot gets clamped here. And we'll see how I do with this.
So you can see how the stop limits the steering.
That's the end that goes on the rod. That's the end that goes up by the power steering. I'm going to put the clamp on. So that's on there. Now let's put this clamp on. So that's where that boot sits. I'm going to turn the steering wheel to the middle so that it's not so hard doing that. So now if you can see, that boot is seated in that spot right there. This clamp has to go over the top of it. Wow! Can you see that? Wow, that's a win. I'll take that. Okay, let's pull. Do we have a tie rod end? So we're in reassembly mode. The lock nut gets spun up. Tie rod end gets spun on. I don't think I'm going to tighten this up. And actually the one at the bottom is also loose. I'm going to leave those loose for adjustments. Let me show you. This is a good vantage point. You can see the 2-inch. I'm laying the stock lower A-arm on the new lower A-arm, and you can see roughly the 2-inch offset in the A-arm when I lay it on top of it. So I need to reuse these bushings on the new A-arms. And look at how nice this is. I'll pull it up. So you take that off. It has a little holder that holds it in place, a busher, a little keeper. You push the steel head out and take the end caps off, or the bushings. That's how you take them off, and I'm reusing them on the new A-arms. Put the inner bushing in. That's how it goes. I hope you saw it that time. Now I got to do the upper, and on the upper I have to install the grease fittings. The bushings are mounted on the new A-arms. I did not grease them. I'm going to wait till they're in the machine before I grease them. I'm by the seat of our pants here. First time I've done this. So the next step, I believe, is to install the hub. And the SuperATV gives you, let's flip some light around. SuperATV gives you a new washer. And they want you to hold this in an angle to keep it from spinning. So I'm going to hold it in an angle. I want to get this seated. This seemed like it was glued on, and then it came loose. So let's hold that. Let's try this again. Man, as soon as you turn it, it does stop the tie rod at the end, the ball joint from spinning. So let's hold it like that at an angle and spin it out. Wow. Seems to be seated. We have enough room for the cotter pin. So they give you a new cotter pin. Should I use it? I think so. They felt it was important. So I think the camera was on. I got the axle in. I'm gonna try to align. And that seems to go in pretty good. So I'm happy with that. I think I'm going to put, I think this is the bolt. So SuperATV says that they ship these with 1 degree of negative camber. And it's the center line of the ball joint to the center line of the bushing where it mounts to the frame. And I believe both these are set at that. About 1 7/8 inches. About 1 7/8 inches. So these are both set. You can adjust the camber on this. 12 millimeters is the gap there. 12 millimeters is the gap there. So I'm going to put these in as they came because that's I believe a stock setting. So I do have the 21 inches. Let's put them in. This isn't a race quad, or this isn't a race side by side. Struggled with lining these up. And really, those keepers slide around. They're a pain in the ass. There we go. Okay, so those keepers are a pain in the butt. Trying to put this back together. Wow. Do I love that? Oh my mama. Do I love how easy that went in. So I want to do a little bit of alignment on this before I put it down, and obviously the tie rods have to come out, right? So I put them a little out. Maybe I'm going to go in a half turn. Okay, so the tie rods are out, and I want to get that at least in before. Get the tie rod on before I put the hub in. And I'm going to have to adjust this many times. So we're tied in at the bottom. I'm going to tighten that up in a minute. Tie it in at the top. I want to put the axle nut on. And that rattling is the whole A-arm assembly moving because I haven't tightened them up. But let's put the hub and axle nut on. I'm going to route the brakes. Surprise on this build is how light duty the brake line tie downs are. Everything is so heavy duty on this purchase, and these are plastic little loops. It's on. I don't know if it, we'll see how long it takes me to do the other side. It's, I'm gonna put the tire on, but I'm not gonna drop it now. When I'm done, I'll show you how it looks, and it definitely has to move the tire forward. So good components under that brake cable tie downs. I missed my boot protector here. Wish SuperATV made one that could go on to protect the boot at this location, but good, it went together fairly well. Yeah, look at that difference. And you can see that that will raise, let's say that raises vertically, it's going to easily clear where it was scuffing before. Looking forward to finishing this. It took me an hour and a half to do the passenger side, and I thought that was really good. I didn't film any of it. I just wanted to get through and get it done. Now let's drop this down. I still have to align the front end. Let's drop this. Love it. Look at that clearance. Gotta love it. I'm not going to take you through the wheel alignment. And again, please remember, I'm not a professional mechanic. This is me just trying to feel my way through putting these parts on this machine. I think it's a huge success. Hats off to SuperATV for making these parts available for our Can-Am Defender owners and who want to put 32-inch tires and 30-inch tires on our machine. That's a win. And if you ride motorsports, for one, should always start off trail. You should always start off. Marauders, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend. Hopefully they'll subscribe. 90% of my viewers are not subscribers. I'd like to change that. If you ride motorsports, please wear a helmet for your protection and to set an example for others. And I hope to see you on the trail. Maybe in the garage turning a wrench, but I hope to see you on the trail. Thank you and God bless. Wow, that's a win. We'll see how much steering radius I lose with that. Hopefully not a lot. That looks like a heavy 1/4 inch, maybe more in the back. On a perfect day, I'd be lucky perfectly centered an 1/8 inch on each side. So it does fit on my trailers as good as my previous A-arms. SuperATV, way to go. Someone asked me about the drive shaft on this. SuperATV says you can use your stock drive shafts with a 2-inch forward offset. You can see it. That shaft is so almost straight. Get you a better look. It's maybe, looks like it's canted forward 3/4 of an inch. And this head has no more ground clearance than the stock A-arms on the machine. It's just push forward. And again, what great clearance I have here. And a great look to the machine. Let's show it from the side view. The spacing of the tires looks, well, you can't really see it from here. The spacing of the front tire looks so much more natural with those 2-inch forward offsets, and it's kind of cool. It doesn't go beyond the bumper, but it still sticks out pretty far. Pretty neat. I'd say that's a win. That's a big win. Thank you, SuperATV.